It's not on yet, it says going live. Hello, welcome to day 2 of our series. So today we're going to be exploring this whole theme of from fear to love, because in the world now there's so much fear and it doesn't serve us. So this is what we'll be looking at today, and hopefully taking as a practice from today to really keep checking whether I'm coming from a place of fear or a place of love. But to start with, let's have a few minutes of just being present. Doing something, just take a minute to leave that aside and be fully present here for the next 45 minutes. It's so easy to get distracted. And this is the difference we see in being at our center or in the class and being at home. So let's be fully present for this time together. We also know that our vibration spreads. So this time is not just for myself. In fact, nothing about this period is just for myself. Let's spend a few moments not only bringing ourselves into peace and being present, but spreading a wave in the room we're sitting, in the abode in which we're dwelling, and beyond that into the community. Realizing that peace is not something I can ever find outside. More importantly, it's always with me, within myself. I just need to go within. Om. I am the eternal being, the self, a soul. Shanti. Peace. Silence. Breathe in that feeling. I am peace. Thank you. Now that we're all present here, let's begin our journey of exploring this topic from fear to love. I now live in Taiwan, and what struck me about this particular period that we're passing through is two words that I want to start with, is that people are staying safe, but also staying sane, because we can get a little crazy with all the information that we're bombarded with. And we can also get overrun with feelings and lose our center, lose our calmness, lose our peace. So what I mean by sane is pretty much the same as staying peaceful. In fact, the definition of peace is to be centered. It means not to react to anything. I know that I'm peaceful when I'm not reacting. When I don't react, I can stop and think and decide. So now that in this period of time we've all kind of slowed down, at least most of us, things have slowed down. So it's time to watch what's going on within whenever anything happens, at home or through the media, just to practice peace, not to react, but to stop and think and decide how I will move forward. Because at the moment, a lot of people are kind of dancing to this tune of fear. Fear can also be used to manipulate. Some people's fear is a projection. So we need to be very clear about what is fear in the sense of being safe. In other words, we have enough fear of a fire not to put our hand in it. So this is a healthy fear. It's a knowledgeable state. But the other is psychological fear that comes from our stuff. It comes from, a habit of worrying, of imagining things that could be worse. So that's what we call psychological fear. That's not helpful. A healthy fear, we should not be careless. This is something serious that we're facing, no doubt, but we just need to stay sensible. I've just come out of 2 weeks quarantine, in fact, today, and it's my second quarantine because I was in India and came back to Taiwan, so it's my second quarantine in a month. And I was aware of the way I was being perceived by others. Some people looked at me as if I'm carrying some deadly disease, and I wasn't. We know now because I've been in quarantine. It's 2 weeks later and I'm okay. So when we're going through this period, although we need to be careful, not to be fearful and not to project that onto others, because if we look at people as if they're already sick, actually we can make them sick. So we have to be a little bit careful of our vision, the way we're talking. And the lovely experience I had in my first isolation, which was in Taiwan, was that although people requested me to go into quarantine, it wasn't absolutely necessary because of the situation, but they were very loving and supportive, making sure that I had what I needed and sending vegetables. And so it was full of love. And because it wasn't really a prerequisite, because I just passed through the transit of Singapore and didn't actually stay there, it wasn't legally something I had to follow. But what I've been also practicing since the beginning are two other words. So we had safe and sane, and my other two words have been compassion and cooperation. And to me, compassion means to stay connected. So when I have a feeling for what you might be going through, perhaps I'm not afraid, but you are. So if I want to stay connected with you, I need to acknowledge that feeling that you're having, care about that feeling, and not behave or have an attitude, oh, it's just your fear. No, let me be connected, stay connected. So this is compassion. And the other aspect of cooperation. So if you want me to follow certain things and I don't feel it's absolutely necessary, it might not even be required by the government guidance, but still, if it makes you feel more comfortable, let me do it, because it makes you feel good, and that's another way we can stay connected. Because I don't want to separate myself from others during this time. What we need, especially with this social isolation, that's been very hard for people. So what we need is at least to keep as connected with each other in terms of feelings. So again, this brings us back to love, operating from love and not from fear. So there's many things we, are being challenged with at this moment, but we can really make the most of this time that we have. And in fact, I've not really regretted one day of this whole month of isolation. I've got a lot done. I've connected with people that I care about. In fact, I made a list of people that I feel, who would I like to reconnect with, that maybe our relationship has become distant because of physical distance. So I was in contact with my friends in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in Australia, and they also have a little bit more time now because, people are busy otherwise. Even though you want to chat, you want to catch up. And so I didn't feel that I needed to personally be with them. I felt that how we shared on the phone was as good as being together physically. So I'm not feeling this separation or isolation. So we need to work these things out for ourselves. We can also practice certain things that we haven't been giving attention to. So, I think I've learned more Chinese here in my studies than back in Taiwan because I have more time, surprisingly. So there's many things we can engage ourselves with, and that's what we need to do at this time. So rather than living through this time in a state of fear, embrace this opportunity to not only make it worthwhile, but to really focus on where I'm coming from. And, we all know that love is the most important space that we need to be in. It also gives us time. I mean, I've been isolating here in heaven at the Lura Retreat Center. Most of you have been here, so I can't complain about anything. So it's not just connecting with people, but even nature. So to really, engage ourselves with love. And I remember a song, and the line in that song was, "Look with love at everything you see." So one of my definitions of love is that love is recognition. So often we can walk along a path and not really recognize, not really stop and fully appreciate the beauty, whether it's in a leaf or a flower or a tree. So I've actually got to see many trees here that I hadn't really seen before. I saw a lot of trees and I kind of saw them as a mass. But being more in this solitude, I was able to really connect with the trees, meaning just to be wonderstruck at their beauty, whether it's the trunk of the tree or the shape of the tree, the age of the tree, the strength of the tree. So also when we're looking at this, we can think about these qualities for ourselves. So we are allowed to go out and exercise. So not to make that too much of an exercise. Maybe you want to do a little bit of fast walking for the exercise, but also some slow, connected, loving moving around. So when we start to feel this sense of love, it overpowers the fear. So fear won't catch us if we're in a state of love. And also love is good for our immune system. Love, peace. it's all good for our immune system, whereas fear, stress, worry is actually very dangerous. And one thing I have focused on from the beginning, like I haven't been too worried about masks, because in Taiwan at the beginning there was a shortage, so the government gave the directive not to use masks unless you need them, keep them for people who need them. Now actually they're telling people now they have enough to wear masks, so it is good. They wouldn't be saying that if there wasn't some benefit. So, do whatever we're being guided to do. But I didn't worry much about masks, but I was concerned about keeping my immune system healthy, whether that's through supplements, which can be as simple as, just a lemon water, but, taking supplements as well as, keeping myself happy, peaceful and well, because anytime we can, come across this virus, but if our immune system's good, hopefully we won't get influenced by it, we won't get affected by it. And that's the other word I want to close with, just this whole aspect of influence. So we need to see what I'm being influenced by. Am I being influenced by the fear and all the news? Or am I being influenced by people's vision on me? Am I being influenced by situations and circumstances that I've been thrown into, like trying to work at home with children around? I mean, there's so many external influences. But if I can keep myself centered and really make the effort not to come under these influences, and if I'm to be under any influence, let it be under the influence of that one, the light. And so when I'm feeling that I'm getting overwhelmed by some situation, go within and connect with the light, the energy. So let's do this now. Let's come back into our meditation space and let's enjoy this connection and empowering ourselves by being focused, being centered. There's only two motivations in anything I say or do. One is fear, the other is love. In each interaction, let me check where I'm coming from. Fear or love? And let me create that practice of changing my thoughts from fear to love. I choose love. Love is to extend myself for my own or another's spiritual growth. Let me extend myself for my own growth and for you. To extend myself means to go beyond any limitations of likes and dislikes. with compassion. However someone's behaving at this moment. With the aim to stay connected. At the moment, everyone needs space for what they are going through. To give someone space is just to accept where they're at this moment. I have the one intention to stay connected. And this is cooperation, not to see others' weaknesses, but to give them the strength to get through whatever they are going through. Of course, we need a lot of power to keep ourselves in this state. So let me connect with the divine. So that I can remember my own true state of peace, love, and power. In this connection, I'm reminded of my own true state. But equally, it's the state of every individual. Everyone is by nature peaceful, loving, and powerful. So when I see others with this vision, I can empower another to come back into their truest state. So I'm not really giving love or power to another. I'm just reminding them that they are that. And this is the greatest love we can show towards another. To really see another in their full potential. Just think of some people in your life at the moment where there could perhaps be a struggle. And see through all the behaviors they're adopting to survive. See through all of that to the original, peaceful, pure, loving and powerful being. Whether it's your child, your husband, someone you're living with, create this vision. Then it's easy to love. When we practice this in silence, then as we return to our normal everyday interaction, we just try to keep bringing ourselves back to the truth that I am peace, and this one in front of me is peace, love, power. Om Shanti. So thank you for joining us today, and do join again tomorrow and the next day and the next day, because this series will continue. Thank you.